On this episode of the Cryptid Crew Podcast, I would like to welcome on our guest from the Pacific Northwest, outdoorsman, artist, Bigfoot enthusiast, Trevor Cameron. Trevor, glad to have you.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me.
I've been looking forward to this one. I guess let me preface the episode before we dive in. I found your artwork online at thebigfoottour.com, and that's one of the things that led me to contact you. But I did not realize your story that got you started in the world of Bigfoot or Sasquatch. But can you share that with us?
Yeah, no problem. So basically, last summer, a little over a year ago, well, not this last summer, sorry, summer of 2023. I was out hiking around, and I do a little thing that I call Google Maps exploring. And I find little areas that I'm able to go, and I go find those trails, and I'll go hike around in those areas and just kind of explore. But I was locked out of this large area for a while due to a fire that happened a couple of years back, and the area was closed for 2.5 years. But when it did reopen up, I had a bunch of trails up there that I wanted to go check out. At the time, I did not know anything about Bigfoot, didn't really think about Bigfoot. I was more thinking about mountain lions, bears, and things of that sort while I'm out there.
Right.
So I finally get out on these trails, and I'm one of the first human beings to get out there, I think. And I hit a couple of trails that day. I was on the last trail of the day, and we're headed down to what was supposed to lead to a river that I could tell from the maps. And I had my dog with me, my dog Bruno, and we were headed down the trail, and I just kind of got a really uneasy feeling, and it's abnormal for me to feel that way while I'm out there. I was just kind of normally at peace and just kind of calm while I'm out there, but this time I got this really like eerie, something was watching me, I need to be careful sort of feeling. So
Sure.
I pulled my gun out of my backpack and just kind of told myself, quit being a wimp, let's go, let's make it to the end of the trail. I ended up at this beautiful river spot that, I mean, it was so beautiful. I ended up having to get into the water. I was out there swimming around a little bit, and the feeling came back again where, again, just super eerie. And I was even telling myself, like, you're out in the water. Like, what do you think's going to come out here and get you, especially? But ultimately the feeling caused me to leave. I'm like, this is just weird. It normally doesn't happen. So let's listen to it and let's get out of here. And on the way up the trail, I'd almost made it back to my car. I was probably maybe a quarter mile, half mile back to my car. And, the trail's a little over a mile. So a little past the half point, and something screamed at me out of the bushes. It, 3-4 seconds long. I described it like a subwoofer hit, like boom, you can feel the bass all the way down like to your heart.
Right.
The scream went for 3-4 seconds, and I know that when you're out in the woods, if you encounter a predator or anything, the last thing that you want to do is run. But when this scream happened, I panicked and I started running. And I remember thinking while I was running, that's not a mountain lion. That's not a bear. What is that? And about when I finished that thought, I stopped and I turned around, and I could see absolutely nothing behind me. And there was no movement in the bushes. There was no anything, just empty trail. And so I started really questioning what happened. I had my dog with me, as I said, so he ran with me and he hid behind me, and he stayed with his head right next to my knee the entire way back to the car. And
Right.
Normally he's running up ahead of me and coming back, and he's chasing squirrels, whatever he's doing, right? But this time it was not. He's kept his head right there next to my knee all the way back to the car. So I was questioning what happened, big time. I mean, I was just like, what was that? I started wondering, did a tree lean and like scream, or just started looking up things like that. And, animal sounds that are out there, bears, mountain lions, elks even. I was listening to recordings of, deer. I know deer can scream, like just little animals like that can make sounds that you wouldn't expect. So I started to look into it, and none of those sounds matched, but Bigfoot kept on popping up. So I tried not to look at Bigfoot. I tried not to look at Bigfoot and was kind of like, yeah, whatever. But ultimately ended up clicking on it and reading around a little bit, and like, wow, that actually sounds like what happened to me over and over again, is what I kept finding, is that even the eerie feeling, some people would attribute to, the ultra, I want to say ultrasound, but that's not the right, infrasound, sorry.
Infrasound, yes.
Yeah. So a lot of people attribute that to it, and I didn't know anything about that while I was out there. So when I was feeling that feeling, I didn't, this is Bigfoot or anything. I just, wow, it's weird, and I don't normally feel that,
Sure. I guess, I'm sorry, Trevor, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, sorry. Yeah, you go ahead.
I guess I should have prefaced this by I guess confirm this. You were not a believer at all before this encounter, correct?
No, I was not a believer. If you would have asked me if I believed in Bigfoot, I would have said no. But ultimately, I didn't really think about Bigfoot. I didn't ever look into it, really. I never, it was just like like the monster under the bed, I never really thought of it as a real thing,
sure.
I guess.
Sure. So let me ask you this. How far away do you think the creature was, or the sounds were, from you?
So when the sound happened, I would be willing to guess it was like 30-ish feet away, like 10 yards.
Okay, so it was very close.
It felt like it was close, and it sounded like it was close. It was loud. I could feel the sound. So that if it wasn't close, that's incredible.
Right. And then I guess after you, so what happened after you started doing your internet research on it?
So I ended up finding reports from the area that I was in, and there had been a lot of sightings out there, actually, and I found that there's even a book written about the area that I was in. It's called The Oregon Bigfoot Highway. I'm not associated with the people that wrote the book or anything, but that is the book. And I ended up just really looking at that area and all of the Bigfoot lore that already existed out there, and I just had no idea about it. So I started showing other people essentially, and I noticed that the North American Bigfoot Center that I live pretty close to, has some artifacts that were taken probably from the area that I was in. It says Mount Hood National Forest and things like
right.
that.
Right.
So at least the same forest that I was in.
Right.
So I just ended up connecting a bunch of dots and kind of showing other people what I found. And I found what I think is a Bigfoot nest, and nobody's been able to tell me what else it could be.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, it's a large structure that I could climb into, but it's not a typical like teepee structure. It's got like a dome shape over the top, and
right.
The bottom has a circular like nest structure that's all kind of woven together. So, and I found footprints all around that area, and that was when I really started to give the Bigfoot idea like a real thought. But no way.
Right. I bet that made the hair on the back of your neck stand up once you found the prints.
Oh yeah. And so the craziest thing is I was up there. I had brought my daughters up there to show them that the fire had burnt up a campsite, and there was a bunch of carnage up there, burnt down bathrooms, trees had fallen through bridges and things like that. So I brought them up there to show them that, and I ended up looking kind of down off of the road, and that's when I saw this odd structure. And we were on our way down to the structure, on the side of a hill where there's no trail, and I found bare footprints, like, with toes, and it looked like a human footprint, but it was bigger than mine, and I wear a size 13.
Oh, wow.
And it's probably bigger by a couple of inches.
Right. I'm not going to ask you to give away the site, but is that in the Mount Hood National Forest?
That area? Is in the Mount Hood National Forest, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that, I know it's close by. I think, I looked it up and it's around, I believe it's a little over 1 million acres.
Yeah, it's a huge forest. And the area that I'm in is actually, or that I do most of my researching and looking around, that is kind of on the outskirts. It's not that close to Mount Hood itself.
Right. But and Mount Hood is also part of the Cascade Mountain Range. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. That's, I believe, and I know, well, the Pacific Northwest is known for tons of Bigfoot sightings and reports.
Right.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Oregon has, what I researched was about 16 million acres of national forest in Oregon. So there's plenty, and you know it firsthand, there's plenty of water, plenty of cover, plenty of food for something like that to hide and to, traverse, or migrate north and south or whatever they do.
There's a lot of area out there that humans can't really get into very easily because of, down trees or, slippery rocks and things like that. And just from the research that I've done, I've found that the Sasquatch have differently built feet, so they can handle things that we can't really handle, as far as getting over rocks, and their power and size as well. So, there's a lot of areas that we can't get to that I've found structures like on the sides of cliffs, basically, like a human would be risking their life to go up there, and there's an odd, like log structure up there. So it's just, the whole area is kind of weird, and it's got like an eerie feeling to it almost, because the fire that went through there burnt all the trees to a crisp also.
How many acres did it consume?
Man, I used to know this. It was like 224 miles of road, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
It was a huge amount of, I don't know the exact acres anymore. But yeah, it was a pretty big fire. The town of Estacada, parts of it were being, evacuated because it was getting like pretty close to actual towns. So. Right.
Let me ask you this, going back to your, encounter or your research, what made you decide, or what flipped the switch for you saying, hey, what I encountered the first time was probably a Bigfoot?
So after I found the structure and the footprint and just everything, it was just the way everything kind of correlated with each other. Like, I couldn't make sense of it any other way until I started to look at Bigfoot. And it's like, wow, actually every dot kind of connects. And if there was a missing dot that didn't connect, that might make me question it, but it almost connected all of the dots for me.
Right.
From the eerie feeling and all that. And then all the sightings and footprints that have been found out in the area before. I was one of the first humans back in there after the 2.5 years of closure. So I think that I was probably in an area that the Bigfoots in the area were pretty comfortable with, and didn't know that I would be back there in that area, I guess.
Sure, because there's been no traffic, I'm assuming, for quite a while.
Right. Yeah, no traffic at all. And actually, it was like somewhat dangerous feeling to be in there because all the trees were waving around and they were all burnt to a crisp and things like that too. So I guess ultimately what made me say that was a Bigfoot is that I can't explain it any other way. Right.
No other explanation, no other animal that you would know of that's supposed to be in Oregon.
Right. And I actually tried explaining it to people and saying that, like, oh, I think a tree almost fell on me, and I explained what happened. They go, that doesn't sound like a tree. It sounds like you got really close to an animal or something. I'm like, yeah, but what animal sounds like, this? And then, was it an elk bugle? And I listened to an elk bugle. Nope, not like that. I mean, that's crazy, but it wasn't like that. So.
Right. I think what we try to do, and I've heard this so much, is you try to explain it away.
Yeah.
Make it, a tree, or that was an elk, or that was a bear, or did I even hear that? So.
Yes. Yep. if it wasn't for my dog being with me, I would just say, I had this crazy moment where I thought I heard something, but must not have. But the way that my dog reacted with me made me go, no, that was real. That happened there.
Well, Bruno, you said his name was Bruno, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Bruno, I mean, that's like having another witness with you. When his, dogs have senses that we don't, I guess you could say, and he knew that there was something else or something there that was not normal or he's not encountered before.
Right.
Yeah. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Oregon has, now I know we've talked about a couple of different sites that have sightings and stuff. One that I use quite a bit, it has Oregon as the third or fourth most sightings in the United States, only behind California, and I believe Florida, and maybe Ohio, but there's,
Washington's up there.
I'm sure Washington is. I may have overlooked Washington, but it was third or fourth on the list. And the area you're in, we talked about this. It's Clackamas County, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I've noticed on the link you sent me on the sightings, there's a ton in that area.
Yeah.
And as well on the site that I get some of my information from. The closest, and I'm going to go, I'll mention this one to you, and you may know where this is at, rhododendron. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Okay. And, it happened back in, I believe, 2008 around Highway 26. And it was a road crossing, and they called it an ape. They said it had long arms, and the creature ran across the road, I believe on all fours, if I'm not mistaken, and then stood up. And there were multiple people there because there was a car pulled off the side of the road, and another car actually honked its horn at the creature. And it was a daylight sighting, so it happened, I believe, 7:30. But
wow.
I figured you might know that area since it was in Clackamas County.
Yep. Rhododendron's just maybe 20 minutes from my house. It's not very far away. It's closer up to Mount Hood itself.
Okay, so I guess north. I'm assuming, is that right? From
let's see.
Or I may be wrong. Okay,
So it's north from the area that I normally am out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. But are there any? Let me ask you this. Do you ever have anybody come to you with encounters or experiences of any sort?
Yeah. So I've talked to a lot of people, and I've heard sightings. A guy at the gas station one time told me about a sighting he had because I was wearing a Bigfoot shirt right there in Sandy where I live. So, I've had a lot of people tell me about their sightings. I've also been a part of other people's kind of experiences. I've brought some other people out there to kind of show them that the area and talk about the lore and things like that. And one time I was with a group of four other people actually, and we were making our way down the trail, and there was a faint kind of high pitched sound off to the right. So we all kind of stopped and we were listening to it and trying to decide what it was. Maybe it was the trees creaking, or we don't really know. But as we're stopped and listening to the sound off to the right, something like in front of us, I guess, but we can't see because of all the bushes, like goes boom and hits the trail. Like we all kind of like felt it in our feet, and we all stop and look ahead of the trail and then start looking at each other and back up to the right where we were first looking. And then a large branch or a rock or something hits the ground off to the left. And it was just like crash and
that puts you in defense mode pretty quick, I'm assuming.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the three people that I was with, or the four people that I was with, kept on. Did you hear that? What is that? Like, what is that? And I'm like, I don't know. They're asking, do you have a gun? Do you have a gun? I do have a gun, but I mean, as far as I've heard, if we're in this area and if it's a Bigfoot, the last thing you want to do is pull out a gun. So,
right.
Yeah, so we all just kind of sat and listened for probably 5 more minutes, and nothing else happened. I had a tree go down right next to the nest that I was visiting. And again, I was with some other people, and they're like, "So what's further down this trail over here?" And I'm like, "Actually, I've never been down that way." So we started to go down that way, and a tree went down, probably 30, 40 feet ahead of us. And I told them it's probably not safe to continue, and we turned around and went back the other way.
Sure. Let me ask you this, with the encounters or experiences you had, are most of them in the daytime or night or just a mix?
They're evening-ish, I would say. Like most of the times when things actually happen like that, it's in the evening time, probably 5 to 7:30-ish, about to lose daylight, kind of.
Right. Any certain time of the year, colder or warmer months?
Most of my luck has been in the spring and summer, but when it gets really hot out there, there's almost nothing exciting happening out there.
Let me transition into something else. It's your website. You got your merch store.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I have noticed and pretty impressed with your artwork on there. The BigfootTour.com for everyone listening. Go to that website, and I'll put a link at the bottom as well of the YouTube channel in the description. And I'll tell you what. I'll let you, Trevor, tell everyone what you have on the site.
Well, I've got everything from shirts to mugs and tumblers and even shoes. I try to make different styles for everybody. I have some more basic styles of sweatshirts, and the legendary collection I'm really proud of.
Right.
It's like a pretty subtle but Bigfoot collection, and then I have some other ones that are a little more loud, and I just kind of try to mix it up. But we've got everything from yoga mats to bikinis and shoes to tumblers and mugs. I mean, if you can think of something, we probably got it.
Right. Yeah, your drinkware is pretty cool. The coffee mug I'm looking at now with the Bigfoot on fire. Or actually, he's not on fire, but the head,
Right. Yeah. So that's the Bigfoot Fire collection. I've got that same design on sweatshirts and posters and metal prints even. I think the metal prints are really cool looking, but they're a little more spendy.
Yeah, pretty neat stuff on there. Headwear, puzzles I see, outerwear, bedding. There's quite a bit to choose from.
Yep. Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
A little over a year. I've had a couple other forays into designing some clothing and things like that, but this is the first time I've actually done it for myself and really made a lot of products on a lot of different things.
Right. Let me ask you this. This is a little bit off the subject of Bigfoot or Sasquatch, possibly. It comes up sometimes. Do you ever hear or are there a lot of reports of missing persons in that area, in the Mount Hood area?
Yes, but it's not really something I keep up on. So I know for sure that it happens. And on the news, we hear of hikers, having, not making it out of the woods, but they're normally found to my knowledge.
A little bit of something else I'm interested in as well, but I had noticed on some news out your way in Oregon just recently of a hiker that's been missing in the Mount Hood area, and I just thought you might know a little bit about it or have heard about it, or other cases as well.
Well, so that's something I might need to look a little more into, but I do know that there was a TV show about the Pacific Northwest and all the murders out here. I think it was called the Pacific Wonderland, or Wonderland or something like that. But it was basically it was detailing how easy it is to go missing in the forests of Oregon because of all of the vast land, as we've already detailed.
Sure, quite a bit. Yeah, over six. I think it was over 16 million acres in Oregon just itself, just of national forest, and that's a lot of land to cover.
Right.
All right, Trevor, let me ask you this too. What would you say to a skeptic?
I'd say look into it because I was a skeptic myself, and I'd say look into it and go out into the woods yourself and see what happens. There's a lot of evidence that is not 100% like proven. It's not undisputable proof. But the way all the evidence kind of fits together, it's like a puzzle. It creates a picture of Bigfoot.
Exactly. I could not say it any better myself. You put all these pieces together and there's no other explanation.
Right.
No, not to me. There's not,
And so the other thing is that there's not a lot of people that actually go out into the woods themselves. So what I would say to a lot of people is, have you ever seen a black bear? Have you ever seen a rabbit? Have you ever seen these things out in the woods? Because I'll bet that you haven't. And that doesn't mean that they don't exist. You read about them in books and things like that. And the books that write about Bigfoot, they're, quote unquote, uncredible,
Right.
So it would be that easy if somebody wanted to say, nope, doesn't exist. And sorry if I'm skirting on conspiracy theories here, but if they wanted to cover up Bigfoot, it would be as easy as saying, yeah, there's no Bigfoot. And there aren't a lot of people out there checking.
For sure, because whatever population there is of them, there's not a lot, I don't believe. Right. So,
and they're elusive. If they don't want you to know that they're there, you won't know that they're there.
Absolutely. You're walking into their domain.
Absolutely.
Yep. And you're in a prime spot for all of that, where you're located. How far are you from Portland?
Maybe 40 miles. 20.
Okay.
Yeah, that might be a stretch, but yeah, around there.
All right. Let me ask you this. Rapid fire questions. We do 3 of them towards the end of the podcast.
Okay.
Q&A. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and you tell me the first thing comes to the top of your head. Favorite movie?
Gladiator.
Okay, good one. Is that Russell Crowe?
Yeah, Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Yep.
The remake wasn't so good, if you ask me.
And that just came out, didn't it? Just recently.
Yeah, it did.
So it wasn't as good as the first one.
No.
Yeah, usually they're not, but yeah. Okay. Oregon or Oregon State?
Man.
The Ducks or the Beavers?
Yeah, so I grew up a Beaver, but I'm honestly, I don't follow college sports that much, so I don't care very much. But.
Gotcha. Okay, no problem. Where we're from, there's no professional teams in our state, but college football's huge here, or college sports as well. So I was just going to get you. If I had to choose, I like the Ducks. So.
Right. Yeah. Most people do. They're the more popular one.
Yes. Number 3, favorite Bigfoot show or cryptid show, paranormal, past or present?
So, geez, I'm brain farting right now, the name of it, but it's one of the, Expedition Bigfoot.
Expedition Bigfoot. Okay.
Yeah. I like that one.
Right. With the Russell Accord and,
yep.
Maria Mayer, I think is her name.
Yep.
And I think Ronnie LeBlanc used to be on there. I saw 2 of them at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Festival in Townsend, Tennessee last year, and got to listen to 2 of them talk. They're pretty entertaining. and knowledgeable, very
That's
knowledgeable. Awesome. Yep. Well, Trevor, I have really, really enjoyed this, and I'm glad we got to talk and discuss some things. And we may have to do this again if something comes up. If you have any experiences or encounters or something new, I'd love to have you back on and talk about it.
Yeah, and I could, I could go on and on and on and on when we're talking about Bigfoot. So I'm kind of trying to stifle myself and not ramble. But if you want to have me on again some other time, and I'd be willing. Absolutely,
we can go down a rabbit hole.
Absolutely.
If you'd like, for your listeners, if you've had an encounter, an experience, or something unexplainable, shoot me an email with your contact information at thecryptidcrewpodcast at gmail.com. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel out. Thank you for listening, and God bless.